Our problem right now is that we have an economically illiterate president. He doesn't understand how the economy works. He doesn't understand how business works. Heck, he doesn't even understand how gas prices work. This is the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish. Remember to subscribe to the podcast on Apple iTunes or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Portions of today's program are brought to you by Legacy Precious Metals. The one way to hedge against total Armageddon here is through something like gold. So consider investing in gold today. Go to legacypminvestments.com for more information. Again, legacypminvestments.com. But consider some of the recent comments by the president. For example, what he was saying out there over the weekend referring to gas prices. Here we go.
And in 41 states, plus the District of Columbia, the average gasoline price is less than $2.99.
Okay, well, not exactly true. In fact, it actually took CNN to have to come out and correct him on that one. There's nowhere in America right now, not 41 states, actually nowhere, where gas prices are less than $2.99. Now, maybe he gets his twos and his threes mixed up. The White House had to come out and change the record, set the record straight on that in the transcript. But it's not that he just doesn't know the price of gas nationwide, which, by the way, is $3.68 a gallon right now. It's that he is taking credit repeatedly for things by just messing up his numbers whenever he seems to think it's worthwhile to do so. Listen to him here.
Gas prices, I know I got criticized for going to the stockpile. Well, guess what? Gas prices are down $1.30 a gallon.
Well, maybe in the last couple of months, but if you actually really want to think about that, gas prices are up $1.29, about $1.30 since he came to office. In January of 2020, the national average was $2.39 a gallon. Now it's $3.68. Which do you prefer? He's very proud that he's gotten the numbers to come down recently. That was in part, of course, because he went and tapped something that is not supposed to be tapped.
I know I got criticized for going to the stockpile. Well, guess what? Gas prices are down.
You got criticized because there's something called the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That stockpile is strategic, meaning it's there if the security of our energy supply is in fact threatened. And it turned out our energy supply security was not being threatened, but politically speaking, the Democrats were. And he's got an election coming up in November, so it doesn't really look so good, when you got gas prices as high as they've been. If you can get them down a little, maybe he can take a little credit for it, except that I think Americans still know, heck, this is $1.29 higher than I was paying when you first came into office, buddy, and you were here to try and help the American consumer, to try and help make our lives a little bit better. Portions of today's program are brought to you by AMAC, a group of people that really does care about our economy and all this inflation that we're struggling with. Unlike the rhetoric that you hear from our politicians, what you see coming out of AMAC is a real devotion to making sure that American consumers are able to take care of themselves in the future. It's kind of like, shall we say, the AARP, except with some conservative values. So go check them out. amac.us/my-last-name-Regan. amac.us/Regan. You can join for just $16 a year, and you make it back in no time with all the discounts, offers that they have on travel, on restaurants, on cell phone plans, you name it. But most importantly here, you join forces with more than 2 million Americans that care passionately about making sure our freedoms are protected and that our futures are protected. So go to AMAC, amac.us/Regan today and sign up or renew. Go for it. Go do all the green energy stuff you want, but don't simultaneously destroy the foundation of America's middle class in the process, which is something that the CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, said quite eloquently as he confronted Rashida Tlaib on Capitol Hill last week. Listen to this.
So no new fossil fuel production starting today. That's like zero. So I would like to ask all of you and go down the list, because again, you all have agreed to doing this. Please answer with a simple yes or no. Does your bank have a policy against funding new oil and gas products? Mr. Diamond?
Absolutely not, and that would be the road to hell for America.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Sir, you know what? Everybody that got relief from student loans has a bank account with your bank should probably take out their account and close their account. The fact that you're not even there to help relieve many of the folks that are in debt, extreme debt because of student loan debt, and you're out there criticizing it.
Okay, so that was a bit of a non sequitur. We went from, you can't fund fossil fuels. How dare you? He said, well, if I didn't, right, it would be a road to hell, which he's right. We'll get into in just a second. But I can't help but notice she went straight from that to student loans, and you got to cancel your student loan and a JP Morgan checking account or something. Which is a whole other topic, right? Because I think that many of us feel quite strongly that this student loan giveaway is just another inflationary tactic by this administration to try to buy votes, especially with a group of people that they're not doing very well with. But what Jamie Dimon said was that it would be the road to hell. And the reason it would be the road to hell for America, and we're already seeing evidence of this, is because people can't afford $10 gasoline. And when you look at the numbers and you consider the fact that this SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is at the lowest level it's been at since 1984, and we haven't even begun the pain of what's coming this winter when Russia comes offline, we could have a lot more problems ahead, and gas prices will most likely continue to escalate given the lack of supply out there. So that's when you want something like the SPR available, not just because, politically it's going to stink for you to have people paying higher gas prices. It would be the road to hell just because it would be so challenging for the American economy. But I get back to, once again, that he is not economically literate, nor is the team around him. You see, because they should have been better prepared for this. We had an inkling that this might happen with Russia. We should have been investing in fossil fuels here in America and renewables as well. I'm not saying that that you can't do one and not the other. I mean, go for it, guys, but you should have had a better game plan. And instead, they didn't, other than to tap the strategic reserve, which is running pretty low now, right as we get into the challenging winter times. And people are going to have to pay more to heat their homes this winter. They're going to have to pay more for their gasoline this winter. And there's no plan to fix any of it, because we have somebody who maybe understands politics, maybe he understands elections. I mean, sometimes I'm even doubtful on that. But what he doesn't understand, what this president doesn't understand, and the leftists like Rashida Tlaib in the Democrat Party right now, what they don't understand is economics, and they don't understand business, and they don't understand supply and demand, and they don't understand what they're doing to the American consumer and thus the American economy and markets in the interim. Not to mention around the world, because very clearly this president has exported inflation in a massive way. The dollar gets stronger overseas. Well, what does that mean? It means all those people overseas are dealing with more inflation because they can't buy our goods. So it's a complicated thing, but let's make it simple and just say it all goes back to the big guy. And it starts with the big guy. It needs to end with the big guy, and it needs to end with some real policy changes for the betterment of our nation. Great to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget to come and visit me at trishintel.com. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter so you hear from me directly every day there, and I'll see you again tomorrow.